He's a piece of work, man. He always puts somebody in front of him. When Jada came for him, he put Beanie in front of him. When Cam came for him, he put True Life in front of him. And he just didn't compete.
After weeks of relentless mockery from 50 Cent, Jay-Z finally reached his breaking point, with what began as jokes spiraling into angry phone calls, cease and desist letters, and direct threats meant to shut 50 down for good. But one warning from Jay-Z was reportedly so serious that it stunned everyone in 50's camp, pushing their long-running rivalry into a far more dangerous phase. To understand why Jay-Z reacted so aggressively, you have to look at what 50 Cent did first that turned one of the darkest moments of Jay-Z's life into content. In December 2024, a civil lawsuit was refiled naming Jay-Z in an extremely sensitive allegation involving a 13-year-old at an afterparty following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. Jay-Z immediately denied the claims, calling them an attempted blackmail scheme and vowing to expose attorney Tony Busby, while his legal team, led by Alex Spiro, filed motions to fight the case. Publicly, Jay appeared unshaken, stepping out with Beyoncé and their children at the Mufasa, the Lion King premiere just days after the lawsuit went public. 50 Cent watched everything unfold and did what he's always done when he senses weakness. On December 10, 2024, he posted an AI-generated Instagram video showing Jay-Z at a tuxedo-filled party being handcuffed by police and thrown behind bars, captioned, "I want to post this, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot." He deleted it soon after, but the clip had already gone viral, spreading across X, Reddit, YouTube commentary channels, and major outlets like Forbes, Page Six, and the Daily Mail, dragging Jay-Z's image through the spotlight at the worst possible moment when the allegations were still fresh and unresolved. And even then, 50 Cent wasn't done. His next move would be mocking Jay-Z's appearance at the Mufasa premiere, taking the situation to another level entirely. He mocked Jay-Z for walking the red carpet with his family while the accusations were hanging over him, suggesting that Jay was putting on a show of normalcy even as his reputation was under intense pressure. From there, 50 Cent shifted his focus to the Super Bowl. With Jay-Z's Roc Nation holding the NFL halftime show partnership, 50 publicly questioned whether the event would even move forward, posting, "Okay, I don't know what's going on, but are we still having the Super Bowl?" followed by, "asking for a friend." Most people took that friend to mean Kendrick Lamar, who was set to headline the halftime show that year. The post served two purposes at once. It reminded the public that Jay-Z's power extended far beyond music and fashion into a major business partnership with the most powerful sports league in America, and it planted the idea that the allegations could trigger financial consequences well beyond Jay-Z's personal image. The NFL has a long history of cutting ties quickly when controversy threatens its brand, and 50 Cent was essentially daring the public to wonder if Roc Nation and Jay-Z could eventually face the same treatment. Every post was carefully crafted for maximum engagement, and every post landed, cutting deeper into Jay-Z's public standing. 50 Cent never made direct accusations and never claimed Jay-Z was guilty of anything. Instead, he turned the allegations themselves into the punchline, ensuring the story stayed alive in the public conversation long after the legal filings would normally have faded from the headlines. Then came the interviews. In December 2024, 50 Cent sat down with Big Boy TV, where the discussion touched on the lawsuit, Jay-Z's public response, and how 50 really viewed the situation. He didn't go for a knockout blow, but he didn't pull his punches either, framing the entire situation using a phrase he has long relied on when talking about Jay-Z.
All right, so it gets to, but Jay definitely not that. That's definitely not. It's just being competitive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I look at it, I go, whoa. So I always go into what would I do in a situation like this, like when that type of thing happens. Like, and I'm going, I don't know. I hope things are all right for him internally.
He then pivoted to something far more personal, bringing up Jay-Z's daughter, who at the time was the same age as the alleged victim named in the lawsuit. 50 Cent suggested that this detail changed how the situation should be viewed, adding an uncomfortable emotional layer to the controversy. He went on to dissect Jay-Z's public statement, describing it as calculated and carefully constructed, but pointed out that the noticeable shift in tone halfway through made it feel like Jay-Z himself had momentarily broken through the polished legal language written by his team, revealing something more raw Benia.
At the crib. Because in the statement they mentioned his daughter would, being old enough to, because she about 13.
Right.
So it's the same age as his kids.
His Super Bowl post planted a seed of doubt about the future of Jay-Z's NFL partnership, pushing entertainment reporters to dig into whether Roc Nation's relationship with the league was actually in jeopardy. At the same time, clips from 50 Cent's interviews, trimmed into tight 2-minute segments, were being broken down across hundreds of YouTube channels, introducing the story to viewers who had no prior interest in the Jay-Z and 50 Cent rivalry. Suddenly, people who had never followed either man's past conflicts were consuming the drama with the same intensity usually reserved for reality television. None of this was accidental. 50 Cent's strategy followed a formula he had refined over more than 2 decades in the spotlight: find a moment of vulnerability, magnify it with humor, and protect himself with plausible deniability by presenting everything as entertainment rather than accusation. He never claimed Jay-Z was guilty of anything. Instead, he created a climate where Jay-Z's name became inseparable from the scandal, no matter what the courts would ultimately decide. In that world, perception outweighs evidence, viral clips matter more than legal filings, and laughter becomes a sharper weapon than any diss track, and that is exactly the environment where 50 Cent excels. This was the mockery. This was the provocation. And this was what set off everything that followed. Jay-Z's response, however, did not play out in public. He didn't fire back on Instagram, didn't jump on a podcast, didn't drop a diss track, and didn't even acknowledge 50 Cent by name. There were no subtweets, no public statements, and no visible reactions at all. Instead, whatever came next happened entirely behind the scenes. What Jay-Z did instead, according to multiple reports from entertainment outlets, YouTube breakdown channels, and Instagram insiders, was take the fight private. His response was calculated, layered, and designed to apply maximum pressure without producing a single quote that could be clipped, memed, or turned against him online. The first reported move was a direct phone call. Sources claimed that Jay-Z, or trusted intermediaries acting on his behalf, reached out to 50 Cent to confront what they described as false narratives being pushed through social media posts and interview commentary. This was not a friendly check-in between 2 rap veterans clearing the air. By 50 Cent's own later admissions, the tone of the calls was aggressive, framed as warnings from someone who considers his reputation untouchable. The conversations reportedly focused on the AI-generated videos and the repeated commentary that, while never explicit, implied guilt. Then came the legal pressure. Jay-Z's legal team, which he keeps on constant standby, allegedly sent cease and desist letters to 50 Cent's camp demanding an immediate stop to the online mockery and, more importantly, any movement toward a Jay-Z-centered documentary that 50 Cent had been openly teasing during the rollout of his controversial documentary projects. But the third and most serious layer of Jay-Z's response went beyond phone calls and paperwork. It reportedly involved leveraging his vast industry influence as a deterrent, signaling consequences that extended far beyond social media and into real-world business, access, and power. These claims surfaced mainly through gossip-adjacent circles and entertainment commentary platforms, but they closely matched Jay-Z's well-documented operating style over the course of his career. According to those reports, Jay-Z signaled that if any documentary centered on him moved forward, he was prepared to sue or financially cripple the project to the point where continuing would be impossible. The warnings were allegedly delivered through legal representatives rather than direct contact, creating another layer of distance between Jay-Z and the conflict itself. The message was clear and unmistakable. Any attempt to produce a Jay-Z documentary would be met with litigation so aggressive that the costs would become prohibitive long before a single frame of footage could be shot. It's important to note that none of these actions were ever officially confirmed by Jay-Z, Roc Nation, or an authorized spokesperson. But that silence wasn't a denial, it was the strategy. Jay-Z has built his career around the belief that real power moves quietly. He doesn't explain himself to the public, doesn't legitimize critics by responding to them, and doesn't generate content that can later be turned into ammunition against him.
He's a piece of work, man. He always put somebody in front of him. When Jada came for him, he put Beanie in front of him. When Cam came for him, he put True Life in front of him. And he just didn't compete.
No one's scared of 50 Cent. I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
If we looked at the numbers,
Yes.
then we feel like I did his entire career in 4 years. What he did in 15, I did in 4.
This image of Jay-Z as someone who never fights his battles directly, who always places layers of insulation between himself and any threat, and who relies on systems rather than personality to neutralize opponents is exactly how 50 Cent interpreted what was happening in 2024 and 2025. In his view, the phone calls were the modern-day equivalent of sending Beanie Siegel to speak on his behalf. The cease and desist letters mirrored the old Rockefeller playbook, where associates handled problems quietly behind the scenes. And the looming legal threats echoed the era when Def Jam's machinery was deployed to outwork Interscope during the infamous 50 Cent vs. Kanye West sales battle. The tools had changed, but the strategy was the same. And in 50 Cent's reading of the situation, that strategy itself was the attack. Jay-Z didn't strike in public. He maneuvered in private, applying pressure through channels most people would never see, in ways that would never generate a headline directly tied to his name, using resources that very few figures in hip-hop actually possess. The December 2024 clash wasn't an isolated incident, it was the latest flare-up in a rivalry that stretches back to the late 1990s. When Jay-Z and 50 Cent occupied very different positions in New York hip-hop but were moving toward an inevitable collision that would help define both of their legacies. It all began in April 1999, when Curtis 50 Cent Jackson released How to Rob, a provocative record that jokingly imagined robbing some of rap's biggest stars, including Jay-Z, who at the time was already an established name in the industry. The record instantly created a wave of buzz, and not long after, Jay-Z confronted 50 Cent backstage at Hot 97's Summer Jam before answering him publicly with a line on its Hot 50 responded with Be a Gentleman, locking the two into a rivalry that was competitive but still controlled. That dynamic shifted in 2003 when Get Rich or Die Trying exploded and turned 50 into a commercial force. Jay-Z moved to align himself with that momentum. They toured together, shared magazine covers, and even coordinated a Reebok deal that reportedly earned 50 more than Jay-Z's own sneaker venture. But the alliance didn't last. In November 2003, the Black Album and G-Unit's Beg for Mercy went head-to-head. Jay-Z won the opening week, but G-Unit ultimately outsold him worldwide, a fact 50 would reference for years afterward. Soon after, Jay-Z stepped away from recording and took over as president of Def Jam, while 50 continued his commercial dominance, placing them in positions of power that were equally influential but fundamentally different. Tensions resurfaced in 2007 when 50 challenged Kanye West, then signed to Def Jam, to a high-profile sales battle that he viewed as a proxy war with Jay-Z, later accusing him of stacking the deck in Kanye's favor. By 2009, the rivalry had turned openly hostile. Both artists traded lyrical shots, with Jay-Z publicly dismissing any fear of 50, and 50 firing back by questioning Jay-Z's toughness and linking up with former Rockefeller artist Beanie Siegel to attack Jay-Z's character and business practices. Through every phase of their relationship, 50 Cent maintained a consistent interpretation of what was really happening between them. He summed it up bluntly in a 2011 interview with MTV News, and those words have since become the clearest description.
We don't have those kind of relationships. These people are people I associate with. We are in the same business. We are not necessarily friends. We don't call each other for no reason. It's not like we have something against each other to make us enemies. Me and Jay will use each other repeatedly for energy. And that's it for 50 Cent versus Jay-Z.
That energy, competitive, provocative, and carefully calibrated to extract maximum attention without causing lasting damage, defined the Jay-Z and 50 Cent rivalry for 2 decades. Jay-Z's subtle strikes. While 50 Cent has often taken the fight public, blasting interviews, social media posts, and repeated jabs at full volume, Jay-Z has usually responded with restraint, favoring precision over volume. Rather than launching extended campaigns, he's relied on brief lyrical punches or measured interview comments that still carried enough bite to register with fans and industry insiders. The earliest and most famous instance came in 1999. When Jay-Z responded to 50's breakout single How to Rob with the dismissive line on its Hot, I'm about $1. What is 50 Cent? The lyric did more than insult a newcomer, it publicly set Jay-Z's stance toward 50, framing him as minor competition not worthy of serious attention.